what are the keys to good classroom management? Well, first and foremost, it's your instructional plan. What are the kids doing to engage in the content? You have no more powerful tool than that. But then, of course, you also have your behavior expectations that are clearly defined, consistently applied, with appropriate supports and interventions as needed. But the third is just your processes. How do kids do things? How do you get things done during the class time? And for that, we can turn to AI for some help. Plus, something very, very neat that I will show you. All right, so the first thing that I did, and the first thing that you will do is draw a picture of your classroom with all the parts labeled. Give the AI an idea of here's the environment in which these processes take place. Because in many cases, the way you do something depends on what the environment looks like and where the kids are. So I drew a very rough picture of a classroom. I scanned it in, and now I'm going to give it to the AI to use as we look at processes. So let me grab that and drop it in there. And then I'm just going to check for understanding to make sure the AI actually understands what it's looking at and to make sure that I have described it accurately. So here's my classroom, and just a little note. Make sure that's correct. And describe my classroom based on this picture that I just gave you. All right, so a check for understanding. And it's going to take a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the description and make sure that it's accurate. If I need to, I can clarify some things like, hey, there's 2 doors, but the kids actually use that one, or whatever I need to add to it. In this case, pretty good. Now, once the AI understands the environment, we can start looking at processes. And this is the template right here. And they're all going to, for the most part, they're all going to look like this. What we're going to do is we're going to ask for some options, several processes. And here's the part that you would change for your specific needs. Here, we're using students submitting homework because that happens in pretty much every classroom. And then what do we want the AI to do? Reflect on the pros and cons, compare them against each other, and ultimately, what we want the AI to do is to determine the single most efficient process with some parameters. We want them to reduce the potential for error and reduce the possibility of classroom disruption so the kids can continue with their learning process. Just in case the main option doesn't work, give me a second choice as well. All right, let's feed this into the AI. And as soon as I can find it right there, go. It's going to think for a bit because it's got a lot to think about. It's got to identify some options based on that layout, right? And then it's got to give me pros of each one and cons of each one. Then it has to weigh them against each other and finally come up with option selection 1 and 2 and tell me why. So there's a lot going on in the background there. But the nice thing is all of this is specific to your environment. A lot of the stuff we see on processes and classroom management assumes that everybody's classroom looks the same, which is not the case. So here we make sure it's appropriate for you. And here's a bunch of different ways to do it. Now we're going to compare them. Lowest movement and disruption, that. Highest teacher control, that. So it's weighing the value of each of these. And finally, here is the most efficient process. Aligns with natural student flow, reduces unnecessary. So that's the kids turning stuff in when they walk into the classroom. All right. Hi, David Bowman here. If you are enjoying this video and these techniques, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, if you are a school administrator or a PD lead and you're looking for some support for your staff to make the most effective use of AI within the learning environment, Feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We'd love to talk to you about how we can work together to make sure that your staff is using AI effectively to meet the learning needs of kids. Now, back to the video. It works. It makes sense. It's not very interesting. How about this? The second best process, and this is why we ask for a second choice as well. So now you can use your judgment to determine, of these high-ranking options, which one do you think would be most appropriate? We're leaving your judgment and your expertise in this process of identifying processes. All right, strongest alternative. Still adds a little student management, but it keeps traffic localized and stable. So very, very nice. And of course, we can ask more about that if we want some further instructions or information. So if we wanted to do a separate second process now, we can just say simply, repeat it. Repeat all those instructions I just gave you. But now the process is, how do we distribute materials? Get stuff into kids, get stuff back to kids. We can also even further refine that depending on your instructional plan now. We have to do this multiple times, so it's not as simple as just having packets ready to go at the beginning of the class. We need to do it multiple times. So how can I do it with these requirements under these conditions? And so we can follow up and continue to fine tune until you've got something that's really going to work in your classroom. What else can we do? So here's an example of one. We're not going to run it for the sake of time, but a lot of student management problems happen when kids are coming in or going out of the classroom. Your instructional plan is taking care of a lot, or should be taking care of a lot of the issues during the class time. A lot of problems happen when they come in and they go out. Kids are bumping into each other and something happened in the hallway and who knows what. So we can look at that one also in the same way. Then, what if, thinking about the instructional time, you do a little spot check of students? What are some good ways for you to very quickly know, are the kids getting it or not, so you can determine what you do next? So we describe it during the class, brief formative assessment, so I can spot check what are some options and use those same criteria above. Or if we don't have the above, you put them in here. Low disruption, low possibility for error, things like that. Let's see what we get from this one now, right here. The nice thing about this one is it's directly related to your instructional plan. Your instructional plan is your best tool for student management. So how do we make this as effective as possible? And some stuff, this is turning in stuff. Table group collection, so they do a little activity, one per table, very nice. You or a student aide walks around, picks up stuff. Digital option, raised card system. They've got a little, put their answer or a little flag that says, I'm at this level of understanding, or here's my response, to represent an answer. Very, very nice way to do it, because then you can just go and you can see where kids are. That's one that I do quite a bit when I'm doing trainings and workshops. Now, best minimization. So we've got the different options here, and most efficient for those parameters, a digital response system. Well, what if you don't have that? Table group collection. But we can refine this further and say, no digital option, make it cooperative. And what it's going to do is it's going to go back through those various options. It'll look for some new ones. It'll look at the ones that I already gave you. It'll see if there can be some modifications of those and ultimately give you a new approach. A table consensus card. They discuss the formative prompt. They agree on the collective response. And the captain submits it to the teacher or holds it up or something. Nice way to get the assessment back into the learning process. So there you go. A handful of great techniques for getting AI to help you with your classroom processes. Take care.